We celebrate Taekwondo Day on September 4th to mark the day when Taekwondo was officially adopted as an Olympic discipline in 1994. It became a nationally designated holiday here in South Korea in 2008 under a presidential decree. And with more than 2,000 years of history, the traditional Korean martial art has become a globally practiced discipline over the past few decades. Today, we explore this journey and also discuss how athletes have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic this year. For this, we are joined by Seo Jung-gang, Senior Director of Member Relations and Development at World Taekwondo. Hello there, it's lovely to see you this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting
morning.
us.
Good
Thank you for having
morning. Hello, Mahama Cho. We connect with you in London. Mahama Cho is a Taekwondo Olympian and world silver medalist who represents Great Britain. It's great to have you on the show with us.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's go straight into the discussions. We're going to start with you, Jung-gang. So we're marking the 26th year of Taekwondo being enjoyed globally. Over the years, how has traditional Korean martial art progressed in the sports community?
Yes, it has tremendously changed the Taekwondo and also status Taekwondo as Olympic sport. Because Olympic Games are the biggest and most important sporting events on the planet. All the countries are competing for the glory, and naturally the governments provide substantial amount of resources to their athletes to best compete in the Olympic Games. So it means our member national associations has more chances to be financially supported by the government and sponsors, which is great for the growth of Taekwondo all over the world. And with this status as Olympic sports, Taekwondo was able to better promote and develop all over the world because of the Olympic Games, which are watched by over 3 billion people. So today's success of Taekwondo cannot be explained without Olympic Games.
And now, Mahama, you're one of the faces of Taekwondo in Europe and you're representing Team Great Britain. So can you tell us more about how Taekwondo is being received in the UK?
Taekwondo is one of the biggest sports in our country. We have many stars in our team, the likes of Jae Joon, who's going for her third Olympic Taekwondo gold medal. So she's looking to make history. At the same time, our sport is being televised, it's on newspapers. In our sport domain, we have only 2 teams in the world ranking system that's managed to qualify our quota spot through the ranking system. So we are a force to be reckoned with. We are a strong team and we are still developing. And through the sport, we have never had a male Olympic gold medalist, and hopefully I'm looking to make history come Tokyo next year.
Oh, fingers crossed there. Well, Mahama, your background is actually football, though, and you even trialled with Dagenham and Redbridge Football Club. So as a former football player, what inspired you to learn Taekwondo?
So I had many great years playing with a sporting team. It was amazing, to build that relationship with a sporting team. But however, the combat sport was what I had the feel for. This is where my biggest factor in the inner domain of spirit was what came out. And I just had no choice but to follow that concept because my father was a Taekwondo athlete himself. And he taught me the sport from a young age. And ever since then, I've never looked back.
So really it runs in the family. And well, Jung-gang, so in this year, we've been hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. All sectors of society have been hit, and of course, sports is no exception. So amid COVID-19, many international sports events have been cancelled or postponed, including the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Now, what is the international sports community, including the Taekwondo Federation, doing to support their athletes?
Yes, indeed. All the international sport federations are facing unprecedented challenges because of the COVID-19 situation and due to travel restrictions and also incredibly fast spread of infection, almost all sport events have been cancelled and postponed. Of course, World Taekwondo is not an exception. So we are supposed to have World Junior Championships this October, but our council has already decided to cancel it for the interest of athletes' health and safety. But of course, the situation is very challenging to international federations, but I think those ones who are mostly affected are athletes. They cannot go to competitions and they cannot go for training freely, so it's a great concern about their athletic performances. So like other international federations, we are trying to strengthen our online education during this period, and also encouraging athletes and coaches to share their experience of home training with others through social media, so that athletes can learn each other and adopt some of the best practices. And also for the competitions, so not yet for the Kyorugi side, but for Pumse, we have online Pumse championships already taking place in most of the continents. And finally, World Taekwondo has developed protocols and guidelines for safe training of athletes under COVID-19, and also for safe return to the competitions after COVID-19 situation.
And that must have been very challenging because of having to adopt all these policies that require fewer contact, much less contact. Well,
Yes.
Mahama, so COVID-19 has forced athletes around the world like yourself to take a break from training. How has the pandemic affected your performance, and what keeps you motivated?
In our sport as a Taekwondo athlete, we adapt to any situation. That's what makes us great athletes. Being in a ring, we have to adapt very quickly to our opponent. We have to adapt to our surroundings because we travel a lot. So when the pandemic came around, as always, our federation was prepared. They knew exactly what to do. We all was locked away, but we still kept the training going. We took our equipment from the gym and we brought it home to carry on our preparation by ourselves. And as elite athletes, we always get the best out of ourselves every single day. So we was very committed to our sport, and we just had to adapt. And as we know, there's always rules that's changing in our sport. We have to adapt to that too. So it wasn't complicated for us. I think what's the most important is that today I believe that our sport is ready to go back to competition. We have seen the likes of boxing that are making competition happen. We've seen the likes of MMA that are making competition happen. So I believe from the elite point of view, we can have a system because we have that type of infrastructure to build that for the elite players. So I have total faith in our World Taekwondo Federation and also in my performance director to make this happen.
Well, we hope to see these competitions back on very soon. And well, in terms of the Tokyo Olympics, we often forget that Taekwondo is actually an official sport in the Paralympics. And since being included on the Tokyo 2020 program, Jeonggang, which includes para Taekwondo for limb deficiency athletes as well as wheelchair athletes, what should we look forward to then? What should we look forward to seeing in the Paralympics next year?
Yes, it's true that many people still not aware that Taekwondo is already included in the Paralympic Games. And Tokyo Paralympic Games will be the first ever for para Taekwondo competitions with 36 male and 36 female arm amputee athletes will compete for glory in the 6 weight categories. And of course, para Taekwondo is another representation of indomitable spirit, which is in line with Taekwondo spirit. So it's a perfect example of inclusivity of Taekwondo, regardless of differences. So I trust that everyone will be enjoying the excitement of competitions in Tokyo Paralympic Games. But at the same time, they will be witnessing touching moments where these athletes fight to prove the power of the human spirit to overcome the difficulties. So I think everyone can look forward to it.
And what are Taekwondo authorities also doing to include athletes, including those with neurological impairments and intellectual disabilities? Could you tell us more about the developments that you've been seeing there?
Yes, currently only Kyorugi style para Taekwondo is in the program of Paralympic Games, but in our own World Para Taekwondo Championships, we have competitions for the athletes with intellectual disabilities or neurological impairments. So we hope that we are growing these events bigger, and then very soon we want these events to be included in the Paralympic Games very soon. And as part of inclusivity, Para-Taekwondo is not only one section, but for instance, Taekwondo is one of the first sports that allowed athletes wearing hijab at the competitions, which made lots of young Muslim women to join Taekwondo. And World Taekwondo also keeps balance between gender for the athletes and even for the referees. I think it's first time ever in the Olympic history. And also in the Pumse Championships, we have different age categories, which allows athletes with even aged over 60, they can be world champion. So I'm so proud to say that Taekwondo may be the best sport in the world in terms of inclusivity, not only for Para-Taekwondo.
It doesn't discriminate, it includes potentially everybody. And well, Mahama, these are very discouraging times for most people, especially athletes like yourself. Do you have a message for your fellow Taekwondo practitioners as well as your fans and followers amid this pandemic?
Keep training, keep the motivation going. We as athletes, we never give up. We never tire from any situation. We always adapt to any situation in our surrounding. So keep the training up, keep the fitness going. This is not the time to keep our head down. This is not the time to give up. I believe together we can beat this pandemic if we can follow the national guideline to make sure that we all stay safe and we all follow the rules and requirements to be able to do our sport safely. We should be able to come out better in any of our objectives in life. So I hope that you all hear this message and you all support each other and encourage each other to do the best that you can to work together to beat this pandemic.
And Hong-Kong, would you also have any final words to say on that? I mean, as a sport that trains both the mind and body, obviously Taekwondo can have a positive impact on social development. And what's your federation also doing to develop sports for social development that embraces these values of Taekwondo? Could you tell us more about that before we go?
Sure. The president of International Olympic Committee, Dr. Thomas Bach, he sent us a message recently to congratulate Taekwondo Day. And in his speech, he mentioned that Taekwondo is more than a sport and is a belief in the power of sport. And I think that best describes the value of Taekwondo as a sport for social development. Sport in general is the best tool to learn life skills, but especially for Taekwondo, we teach a lot of different values and including courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit. Mahama is such a good example. As a Taekwondo athlete, he was awarded the Fair Play Award last year and setting himself as a good example to be followed by his juniors. So that's the reason why World Taekwondo is trying to approach to underprivileged the young people with all the important values to ensure they change their lives through Taekwondo. That's the key of our social development programs. And I think this program is maybe the biggest asset and the biggest value Taekwondo has today.
And Mahama, what's next for you and how do you think Taekwondo can speak to people globally?
The sport transcends in all able bodies. It helps not only for the health aspect, but also the physical and mental welfare in our sport. As you know, in our sport, there's so many backgrounds, so many cultures, so many different styles, and it's all under one roof. We are one big happy family. So our sport brings us together in so many ways that it actually makes us better people. And I am very much privileged to be involved in such an organization that transcends such a message across to the world to be able to bring us closer together. I'm very privileged that I'm able to speak today and make sure that our people are doing the absolute best to transcend this message across to the world, and to make sure that we all do the best that we can to do our best and keep the positive message around the world.
Well, hopefully we'll see the competitions and all the games back on very soon, and hopefully we'll overcome this pandemic. But well,
we hope so. We hope so.
I hope so too. And well, just a correction that I have to make. I said that wheelchair athletes were included in the para Taekwondo games, but that's not true. So sorry about that. But well, this is
in the future.
In the future, hopefully it will include.
You never know. Anything is
well.
possible.
Yes, anything is possible. So hopefully, yeah, we'll see a future where it includes everybody. But, well, I'm afraid this is where we're going to have to wrap up the discussion today. But that was Seo Jung-gang, Senior Director of Member Relations and Development at World Taekwondo, and Mahama Cho in London, who is a Taekwondo Olympian and World Silver Medalist who represents Great Britain. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
And to our viewers, thank you for watching. Have a lovely weekend wherever you are. Goodbye.